Dallas Mavericks Today by Chat Sports coming at you here on a Tuesday. Harrison Graham and Jeffrey Cooperstein with you, fresh off a fifth straight win for the Mavericks. We'll talk about that game here in just a little bit. But, Coop, we got to revisit the trade deadline here. Speaking of the team Dallas beat last night, the Washington Wizards, Kyle Kuzma, according to Kuzma basically, almost became a Dallas Mavericks. There was a deal on the table, a deal in place that Washington was comfortable with. They certainly like Kuzma, and it basically, Coop, sounds like they left it up to Kuzma on whether or not he wanted to get traded.
Yeah, it sounds like if Kuzma wanted to be a Maverick, he would have, but apparently he elected to stay in the nation's capital with the Wizards, so the Wizards took the deal off the table. Here's exactly what Kuzma had to say before yesterday's game against the Mavericks. He said, "There was a point in time, Dallas, they definitely did want me. Winger," speaking of the Wizards GM, "presented me with what the trade was, and that obviously didn't want to trade me, and he kind of left the decision up to me a little bit and asked me what I wanted to do. I told him I wanted to stay and continue to build something, and that was kind of the end of it."
Yeah, so I mean, I think it was one of those deals where Washington was like, we probably prefer to keep you, but we respect you as a player. If you really would like to go there, we can probably work something out. And he decided to stay, and look, there was another quote he had of basically he said timelines didn't match up. He said there's only 3 or 4 true contenders in the NBA.
He didn't believe the Mavs are one of them.
Mavericks weren't, but it's like, you really think you're building something in Washington? I
don't know about
guy,
that.
But it's just like, and look, quite frankly, maybe this has worked out for the best, right? Well, I'll ask you this, Coop. Would you have rather had Daniel Gafford and P.J. Washington or just Kyle Kuzma? Because I don't know if you get Gafford and Kuzma. I don't think you have enough ammunition to pull that off.
Yeah, the Athletic article that kind of detailed this didn't really explain what the trade package would have been, but my guess is they would not have gotten Gafford had they gotten Kuzma. So yeah. I kind of think it worked out for the best so far, and the way that P.J. Washington and Gafford have both played through their first 2 games in their Mavericks tenure has been fantastic, and we'll get to them in just a minute. But yeah, I mean, I like the way it's worked out, and yeah, Kuzma would have been great to have. I do think he's better than P.J. Washington, but is he that much better to where he makes the Mavs a true contender? I don't think so.
Yeah, and look, I'm kind of indifferent. Like, I'm not like anti-Kyle Kuzma now. I think it's just kind of bizarre that you would prefer to stay in Washington, who's terrible, but
he's comfortable there.
He re-signed there for a reason. He even said in a different quote, "I have won a title," so maybe he's like, unless it's the perfect opportunity,
he's chilling.
He's just like, I'm making good money. I'm living in D.C. I'll do that. So hey, more power to you. I think the lob threat and rim protector and rebounding machine of Daniel Gafford has been fantastic so far. 2 games, obviously a long way to go, and I think P.J. Washington, who's not Kyle Kuzma but still a solid player, is showing that he can fit in also. Now, who would you rather have? Would you rather have P.J. Washington or Kyle Kuzma? I'd rather have Kyle Kuzma, but if it's would I rather have Washington and Gafford or just Kuzma, I'd probably take Washington and Gafford. So to answer this question, I'd say K, but the fact that you have Gafford as well means, I think the Mavericks came out all right here.
Yeah, the Mavericks definitely came out all right, and I think we mentioned them as they're one of the biggest winners of the trade deadline. I thought it was them, Oklahoma City getting Hayward, and the Knicks as well, and it's worked out so far. The Mavs are 2-0. They beat the Wizards last night. Speaking of Kyle Kuzma,
it was scrappy.
Yeah, it was a scrappy game, an ugly game, but they got the win. Kuzma ended up with 23 and 8, but I really did think P.J. Washington and Maxi Kleber, for that matter, did a very good job on Kyle Kuzma throughout this game.
Yeah, I thought they challenged him, made it tough on him. He obviously found some of his spots and was able to score the basketball. I thought this was a pretty good character win, Coop. Like,
for sure.
Sometimes you get through these long seasons. The All-Star break is almost here. You can look at the schedule, get caught. It's Washington, San Antonio. We'll just show up and win. They were down at the half. They were down 10-plus points in the third and maybe even early fourth. They were
down 10 in the fourth.
Down 10 in the fourth, and they found a way. I think that's a meaningful win in the course of an 82-game season. You talk about Kleber, he's playing a lot better recently. The box score is not going to jump at you there, but had a nice block, and then he threw down a pretty big slam on the other end of it.
He more or less sealed. And I wanted to shout out Brad Townsend. He had this tweet this morning about Maxi Kleber, and apparently Kleber said that his toe that kept him out of 35 of 36 games popped out 4 times. So he had to basically get it popped back in and start from scratch as far as like his rehab goes. but now he's inserted a metal plate into his shoe to stabilize that toe, so it hasn't dislocated since. And look, he's been really good over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the athleticism looked at least somewhat back last night. I don't think he's going to be fully like what he was 2 or 3 years ago in terms of like
Agreed.
a real defensive stopper. I mean, I go back to those clips of he's getting switched on Steph and holding his own. I don't think he's doing that anymore. But, you know, if he can at least be your like backup 4, that's valuable. And at times play small ball 5. I mean, Gafford's been terrific, Coop.
Unbelievable.
I know it's 2 games, but like we said it the other day, I'll say it again. I mean, he looks like someone who's played with Luka for a while. He really does.
I think he had 8 rebounds in the first quarter or something. We were talking about this off air. I do think he is the best rebounder they've had since Tyson, probably. So, I mean, and that includes the likes of Luka, and that includes Lively as well. Gafford's been awesome for this team, man. You can't understate it. Only played 24 minutes last night, too, by the way. I believe he played like 14 or 15 the other night. And then he played 24 last night. I expect that to probably ramp up a little bit more. We'll see what happens against Victor last night, who, by the way, had 10 blocks in the Spurs win the other night.
Yeah, you got the Spurs coming up, so that'll be a good test for him. We'll see if he gets stuck on, because they play Wembanyama on the perimeter a lot, so you might see Kleba and Washington on him some, so that'll be interesting. Luka, I thought he turned it on late, Coop. Like I talked about it being kind of a character win. I feel like he kind of just decided, okay, we can't lose to the Wizards.
The Mavs had 12 turnovers, I believe, in the first half, and Luka had a few of them, some bad ones as well.
It was a sloppy Luka game for about 2.5 quarters.
Frankly, for about 2.5 quarters, he gets hit in the chin, had to go to the locker room, he comes back, and he took over the game completely. Yeah. As soon as he subbed in for Tim Hardaway Jr., who we'll talk about in a second, was awful. Luka was great in the fourth, and he kind of just he did not allow the Mavericks to lose this game.
Controlled the game, 15 assists. Kyrie made some key baskets in the fourth quarter as well. I mean, look, like I get the schedule's been somewhat manageable. It's only 5 games, but they're playing good ball. You know, Tim Hardaway.
One of those nights.
This is what it is, man. I mean, you get these clunkers from him, but you know, at least Jason Kidd got him out of there. Kidd, you know, we talk about this off air. Kidd, you know, just. You have to have like the Tim Hardaway meter going on.
Yeah, he's got to have a feel,
and you just got to know when it's time to pull the plug. And luckily, he did it early enough.
You can kind of tell with Tim, like early in his game, if he has it or not. Like if the first couple aren't even close, it's like, oh boy,
that's
this
the
could
thing.
be one of
When
those
he's
nights.
off, he's not close.
No,
like,
exactly.
He's not rimming out threes. Like it's like he's building houses out there.
And shout out to Jaden Hardy last night, who kind of started the Mavericks run there in the fourth quarter as well. So credit to him.
Yeah, no doubt. Big win for the Mavs. If they can beat the Spurs, 6-game winning streak heading into the All-Star break. If you want to win some money, get going with PrizePicks, prizepicks.com/CLNS. It's daily fantasy made easy. If you're asking how to play, well, first of all, you sign up with that link. Use the promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. And then you start selecting away. Tons of different sports available. You can cross over sports with your picks. 2 to 6 player entries, max is 6. You can win up to 25 times your money. And they just give you a stat line, and you take more or less. It's that simple. It's not some complicated process. You see it right there. Here's an example. Kristaps Porzingis, we're going to go more on the points, rebounds, assists here, Coop. Franz Wagner, 22 points. We'll take more there as well. And then Bam Adebayo, he usually litters up the stat sheet. We're going to go less there, though. 10 to win 50 here. You can win up to 5 times your money on a 3-player entry, up to 25 times your money on a 6-player entry. So go check it out. More or less, it takes less than 60 seconds to submit an entry with PrizePicks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get started today. Let's talk about Spencer Dinwiddie, Coop. He obviously signed with the Lakers. Talks trash. I mean, maybe, I don't really get this quote. This was like if I took a trip to South Korea and I'm trying to communicate with the locals, I'm just like,
funny.
I didn't understand what
you
just said,
what you mean, man.
You guys try to help us decipher. He says, let's say you're a kid and you get your ass whooped by the bully. Dallas would have been like your mama, like, it's okay, baby. Lakers are like your dad. Nah, you better go out there and fight till you win. Now, if I'm guessing what he's saying, I don't think he's really bashing Dallas. I think what he's saying is the comfortable thing would have been to go to Dallas because I've had success there. I know the system. Like, that would have been maybe the obvious thing to do. But the Lakers, where he's from, they're struggling a little bit. Maybe that's like the harder way, but maybe the better ending if it works out, I guess. I mean, that's my only way of potentially like trying to figure out what the hell he's trying to say.
My question is this. Would you not want to take the easier road if you're him that leads to maybe a bigger contract going forward? Like,
I feel like deep down, Coop, not to cut you off, is he's like, you know what? I may never get to play for my hometown team. I'm just going to sign there.
Yeah, that might be the case.
And why not just say that, right? Like, hey, man, I grew up in the greater LA area. They want me. I'm going to go sign there.
Yeah, that definitely could be the case. I mean, look, the Mavs wanted Dinwiddie. I know for a fact that they wanted to sign him here in this buyout market.
They felt confident, too. And it sounded like it was between them and LA, so they certainly had a chance.
We know Dinwiddie played his best basketball of his career. Shot over 40% from three. It's the most efficient he's ever been, especially before the trade for Kyrie Irving. He was playing at a borderline all-star level, frankly.
He was really good, man.
And the Mavericks really could have used him as kind of like that third guard role that they had him in when they made the conference finals. So they didn't end up working out. I just thought these comments were I kind of agree after taking them in for about 24 hours that he didn't.
I don't think
he wasn't trying to disrespect the Mavs.
Yeah.
But it just felt a little disrespectful to me.
I think he here's kind of what it seems like to me. Like another way of deciphering this. And let us know what you think he was trying to say. Like, I kind of feel like he was like, look, I could go to Dallas. I know Dallas. I've played in Dallas. I know a lot of the guys
Wanted
there.
to be uncomfortable.
The Lakers are this historic franchise. Like, even if it's a lesser path to a title currently, like, if it were to happen, like, maybe it would please him. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how else to, the word choice is bizarre. Like,
that's
analogy,
kind of what I'm saying.
Doesn't make sense
If
to me.
you could have got your point across by using way less words, basically.
Yeah, like, hey, man, I'm from the LA area.
Wanted to be here.
I want to play with LeBron.
There it is.
I've never gotten to. I love Dallas, but I chose the Lakers.
Be our translators. Let us know what you think down in the comments. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll be bringing you guys videos all throughout the All-Star break as well. So stay tuned. We've got some good content coming up on Mavericks today. And before we get out of here, just wanted to show this little note. The Mavs majority owner, Patrick Dumont, I believe. Yes, attends the first game. There he is with Nico Harrison and St. Marshall. He's 1-0. So maybe he needs to keep coming some more to some more games.
Just show up for the fourth quarter because those first three quarters were ugly.
Yeah, it wasn't good. He did a pretty extensive media session there as well and kind of outlined his plans. It seems like he is not just a businessman and he really wanted to own a basketball team and he wants to be involved with the Mavericks and he wants to make the Mavericks perennial contenders. So I like what I've heard from him so far.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how hands-on he ends up being. Obviously, Mark Cuban's still going to be heavily involved. He's Jeffrey Cooperstein. I am Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Continue to spread the word, and we'll continue to plug out content here on the channel. We'll see you guys soon.